My girlfriend said, "You need to step up," I replied. I improved my situation. "We are done now." Then I packed 2 bags, left my keys on the counter, called the landlord, forwarded my mail, blocked her number, and let her mother and friends chase me down while she realized I was serious. This is WZ Tales. Today's story follows a man whose girlfriend gave him an ultimatum and expected him to become someone her friends would approve of. While you listen, think about the moment where you would have walked away. The front door opened around 11:30 that night. I heard her heels on the hardwood first, then her voice calling out like she owned not just the apartment, but the air inside it. "We need to talk." I was in the living room with a book in my hand, trying to finish a chapter I had already started 3 times. I looked up as she walked in and sat across from me, not beside me. That alone told me what kind of conversation this was going to be. She had that expression she always got when she had already decided how things would end, and my role was just to agree. "My friends and I were talking tonight," she said, "and we all agree you need to step up. You've been coasting. It's embarrassing." I closed the book and marked the page. "Coasting," I repeated. "Yes, coasting. You work your 40 hours, come home, and that's it. Where's the ambition? Where's the drive? Linda's husband just made partner. Quinn's boyfriend is launching his own business. And you're just comfortable." "I pay half the rent," I said. "I handle my responsibilities. That's the bare minimum." She leaned forward and clasped her hands together like she was about to deliver a lesson instead of have a conversation. "I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for effort. My friends say I should leave you, but I'm better than that. I'll give you one more chance to correct yourself." One more chance. She said it like I had missed curfew, like I was a project that had fallen behind schedule. That was the real problem. She was not talking to a partner. She was grading a man she thought she had the right to improve. She stood up, smoothed her dress, and started toward the door. "I'm going back out," she said. "They're waiting at Ruth's place for dessert and drinks. When I get home, we'll discuss what improvements you're going to make. Real changes. Your work ethic, your social presence, your contribution to this relationship." Then she paused by the door and gave me a smile she probably thought was encouraging. "I believe in you. I wouldn't waste my time if I didn't." Then she left. The door shut. Her car started. The taillights disappeared down the street. I sat there for maybe 30 seconds. Then I got up and walked to the bedroom. The duffel bag was in the closet. I pulled it down and started packing for a week, maybe 2. Clothes, toiletries, charger cables, my grandfather's watch, important documents from the filing cabinet, the lease agreement, bank statements, anything with my name on it. Not much in that apartment felt fully mine, but the things that mattered did. My phone buzzed while I was packing. It was Dylan, a coworker and probably the closest thing I had to a best friend anymore. "Still on for Saturday," the text said. I called him instead. "Change of plans," I said when he answered. "You still have that spare room?" "Yeah, why?" "I need it tonight." There was a short pause. Dylan knew better than to ask a bunch of useless questions. "Doors open," he said. "You good?" "Getting there." I hung up and kept packing. Laptop, the signed baseball from when I was 12. The one jacket I actually liked, a few books. By the time I was done, everything that mattered fit into 2 bags. The apartment was a rental. Both our names were on the lease, but it was month to month. I could cover my half through the end of next month, then be done with it. No courtroom, no dragged-out war, just a clean exit. I checked the time. Almost 1 in the morning. She would be back soon, expecting to find me sitting there waiting for the next round of criticism like a student called to the principal's office. Instead, I found a notepad in the kitchen drawer and wrote 4 short sentences. I left it on the table where she would see it first. Then I put my keys on the counter beside it. I took one last look around the apartment. It never really felt like home. It felt like a place where I existed while she built a life around expectations I had never agreed to. My phone buzzed again. Her name lit up the screen. I ignored it. I carried the bags outside, locked the door behind me, and walked to my truck. It turned over on the second try, same as always. Nothing fancy, just dependable. I took the long way to Dylan's place. Windows down, radio off, just the sound of the engine and empty streets. She wanted improvements. She wanted ambition. She wanted me to fit the mold her friends had decided was acceptable. What she got instead was an empty apartment and a note that said exactly what I meant. No screaming, no threats, no speech, just done. Dylan's place was across town. When I pulled into his driveway, the lights were still on. He opened the door before I knocked, took one look at my face and stepped aside. "Beer's in the fridge," he said. "We can talk tomorrow." I nodded, dropped my bags in the spare room and sat on the edge of the bed. My phone was blowing up. 7 missed calls, 12 texts. The first few were confused. The last few were angry. I turned the phone off without reading most of them. Tomorrow would be for logistics. That night I wanted one thing: sleep. For the first time in a long time, nobody was keeping score. The next morning I woke up to sunlight through unfamiliar blinds. For a second I forgot where I was. Then I saw the bags on the floor and remembered everything. Dylan was in the kitchen making coffee. He slid a mug across the counter without saying much. That was one of the things I respected most about him. He never rushed people to explain their pain. After a while, he looked up and said, "So, want to talk about it?" "She gave me an ultimatum," I said. "I left instead." He nodded once slowly. "You need the room for a while, it's yours. We'll figure out the rest later." That was it. No pity, no speech, just help. I took a sip. The coffee was terrible, but it was exactly what I needed. Then I turned my phone back on. The screen lit up with 43 missed calls, 67 texts, and 3 voicemails. The latest message said, "Where are you? This isn't funny anymore. Come home right now." The messages had followed the usual path: confusion, anger, demands, then panic. I deleted all of them. Then I sent one text: "You wanted improvements. I improved my situation. We're done. I'll cover my half of the rent through next month, then I'm off the lease. Don't contact me again." The second I hit send, she called. I declined it. She called again. I declined it again. The third time, I blocked her number. "She's going to find another way," Dylan said. "Probably." And she did. That morning, I handled practical things first: passwords, mail forwarding, banking access, utilities. I called the landlord and told him I was moving out. He did not ask many questions. "Happens all the time," he said. "I'll send the paperwork. You settle your half and we'll get it done." Around noon, Dylan's phone rang. He looked at the screen, then at me. "Don't answer it," I said. He let it go to voicemail. When it ended, he played the message. It was Lucy. Her voice was trying very hard to stay calm and failing. "Dylan, this is Lucy. I know he's probably with you. Please have him call me. We need to talk. This is insane." Dylan deleted it and looked at me. "You want lunch?" We went to a diner nearby. Burgers, fries, and coffee that somehow tasted worse than his. He talked about work and his truck needing new brakes. He talked about everything except my relationship. It was exactly the right thing to do. While we ate, my phone buzzed in my pocket. Different number. I let it ring, then another number, then another. She was using her friends' phones now. That told me everything I needed to know. She did not want understanding. She wanted access. By the time we got back, I had 16 missed calls from numbers I did not know. I blocked every one of them. That evening, Dylan knocked on the spare room door. "You've got a visitor," he said. For 1 second, I thought Lucy had found the place. My chest tightened. But it was her mother, Grace. That was somehow worse. Grace stood by the door with her hands clasped together, looking like someone who had been sent into a fight she never wanted to join. "Can we talk?" she asked. "Just 5 minutes." Dylan disappeared into his room and gave us space. Grace sat on the couch and looked at me with tired eyes. "She's devastated," she said. "She hasn't stopped crying since she found your note." "I'm sure she didn't expect me to take her seriously," I said. "She told me what she said. I don't think she meant it the way it sounded." I looked at her for a long second. "There's nothing to explain," I said. "For 3 years, I've been measured against every other man she knows. I was always one promotion, one side business, one personality upgrade away from being enough. Last night she made it official. Grace studied my face like she was trying to find some opening. You're not even willing to talk to her. No. That word matters more than people think. It sounds small, but sometimes it is the first honest boundary in a bad relationship. What do you want me to tell her? Grace asked quietly. Tell her to move on, I said. I am, she stood slowly. I think you're making a mistake. Maybe, I said, but it's mine to make. She left without another word. Dylan came back out and leaned against the wall. That looked fun. Her mom wants to fix it. He shrugged. Can't fix something that was already broken. That night I lay awake for a while thinking about the note I had left. 4 sentences, no long explanation, no list of grievances, just a decision. She wanted me to become someone else. I chose to leave instead. 3 days passed. Work was the easiest part. It was steady, clear. I knew what was expected of me there. Life outside work was mostly paperwork and untangling shared routines. But even that felt simpler than staying. Then Friday afternoon, my supervisor Wayne called me into his office. You've got a personal situation going on, he said. I'm getting out of a relationship, he nodded. Someone called here yesterday asking about your schedule, said she was your fiancée. We're not engaged, I said. He leaned back in his chair. If you need time off, ask, but you might want to lock things down. That evening, Justin, a mutual friend, called. I heard what happened, he said. She's telling people you vanished without explanation. I left a note, I said. That's more explanation than I got before the ultimatum. Justin was quiet for a moment. She's making you sound like the bad guy. Not the bad guy, I said. Just the guy who didn't stay for the lecture. A little later, Ruth texted me. You should be ashamed of yourself. She was trying to help you become better. I stared at the message for a while before replying. She wanted someone different. I wasn't interested. Simple as that. Ruth wrote back. That's selfish. Maybe. But it was honest. A lot of people call it selfish when you stop accepting treatment they were comfortable watching. That weekend, Dylan and I went out for breakfast. Halfway through, I looked across the street and saw Lucy walking toward the diner with London and Quinn beside her. She came straight to the table. We need to talk, she said. No, we don't, I said. You owe me at least a conversation. You can't just walk away from 3 years like it meant nothing. I looked at her and said the only thing that needed saying. I'm not the one who acted like it meant nothing. For a second, nobody spoke. Then Quinn jumped in. She was frustrated. Partners don't issue ultimatums, I said. They communicate. Lucy's voice cracked. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. I was upset. We can work through this. At that point, what would you have done? Gone back for one more round of being measured and corrected, or trusted the first clear sign of what the future would look like? No, I said. We can't. You've been unhappy with who I am for months. You want someone else. That's not me. Go find whoever that is. Leave me out of it. Her eyes filled with tears. London put an arm around her. Quinn looked at me like I was the villain in her friend's story, but I had not shouted. I had not insulted her. I had just refused to volunteer for more of the same. Dylan stood up, dropped cash on the table, and we left. After that, Grace called again. This time her voice sounded different. I'm sorry, she said, for trying to fix something that was already broken. I told her she was a fool for destroying a decent man because her friends made decent feel small. That apology mattered more than I expected. A few weeks later, I signed a lease on a small house share with a guy named Weston. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a kitchen barely big enough for 2 people to stand in at the same time. It was nothing special, but it was peaceful. Dylan helped me move what little I had. 2 bags, a few boxes, a lamp, and some things from storage. Afterward, we ordered food, sat on the floor, and talked about nothing important. That was the first time in a while life felt like it was moving forward instead of just ending. Lucy still sent messages from unknown numbers now and then. For a long time, I ignored them. Then one day I sent one reply. I'm getting there. Hope you do too. I meant it. Holding on to anger would have given her one more place to live inside my life. I did not want that. She made her choice with the ultimatum. I made mine by walking out. That was the end of it. 3 months later, I was leaving a training seminar downtown when I saw her again. She hesitated, then walked over. A man she was with stayed back and pretended to check his phone. Lucy stopped in front of me and asked, "Are you happy?" I thought about the small house, the calmer days, the new responsibilities at work, Dylan and Justin. The quiet of a life that no longer required me to prove my value every week. "I'm not being tested anymore," I said. "That's enough." She nodded slowly, like she had finally understood something too late to use it. "I was wrong," she said. "I appreciate that," I told her. "Take care of yourself." And that was it. No anger, no speech, no second chance hanging in the air. I drove home, made dinner, called Dylan to confirm weekend plans, and slept well that night because I had made the right choice. Not the easier choice. The right one. I had chosen a life where I could wake up as myself instead of someone else's project, and there are a few lessons in that. Lesson 1. If someone talks to you like they are your manager instead of your partner, the relationship is already in trouble. Lesson 2. Constant comparison is not motivation. It is disrespect dressed up as advice. Lesson 3. An ultimatum is not communication when it only gives one person the right to decide who the other person should become. Lesson 4. Leaving quietly can be stronger than staying to defend yourself for the 100th time. Lesson 5. Peace is not a small goal. Sometimes peace is the clearest sign that you made the right choice. What would you have done in his place? Would you have stayed for one more conversation, or would you have left the same night? And have you ever walked away from someone who kept treating you like you were never enough? Share your thoughts in the comments.